Hey guys, Peter Chen here, recording another 500 Zoom video. If you like these videos, please subscribe because I'm uploading every week. On table 2, we're opening the small blind with 7-5 suited. On this flop, I'll be starting off with a small bet. And on table 1, opening cutoff with Ace-10 offsuit. The 7-5, we can bet again, we can check. I think both lines are reasonable. And once we get to the river with 7 high, I'll be doing a lot of betting. I think big bet makes sense. I don't have any bad blockers. I'm not sure what blockers would be good, but just not blocking any folds seems pretty nice. On table 1, opening button with Jack-5 suited. And against the 3-bet, I'll be folding. On table 2, defending blind versus blind with 6-5 offsuit. And I think I have to call once with the gut shot. Can't be folding just yet. And now I'll be bluffing with my 6 high. On table 1, the 9s seem pretty close here. I think I'm supposed to fold most of the time and 4-bet sometimes. In one of my last videos, someone commented on my 4-bet sizing. So apparently I'm supposed to be cold 4-betting very small. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to do that out of position as well or just in position. Now in table 1, I defended big blind against an open with 8-7 suited. Have an open ender. We face a pretty big bet. And I call and not sure how big to bet here. I think it makes sense to have hands that shove, but I don't know if I want to do this with just the straight when we can have flushes. But I think I might not want to do that with just the 7, but with the 7-8 seems fine, and of course I can get called by. I thought I put him all in, but I think I left him with 1 big blind. I'll go for the rest of it here. I did get called by just the board, which seems like a fine call some of the time. On table 2, I defended big blind against hijack open with pocket 7s. Going to be calling on the flop. On table 1, this is a small frequency 3-bet. Gonna try to punt off really hard to Jarrett, man. This is probably the player I've lost the most money to in my entire history of playing poker. That's how much I love donating stacks to him. Whoops. Raising with Jack 10 offsuit from the small blind on table 2, and get a flop where I'll be betting a lot. With the ace 10, I could check, I could bet. I'll be checking this time. The 9's not the greatest card for me. I think now if I'm betting, I'm repping the 9. So when I bet, I want to be betting big. And having this this gut shot is a decent hand to do it with. Maybe I've some king jack, king 10. But I'm a lot more likely to be checking the ace high on the flop than the king high. So I think most of my ace high can bet on the turn. On table 1, I'm going to call blind versus blind with Jack 10 offsuit. On the flop, going to be betting. I could check as well. On the turn, I think also better check are both fine. So I'm going to check. And just calling on the river. I don't think there's any other option here. Unfortunate to run into a rivered pair. On table 2, I open button, c-betting on this flop with my nut flush draw. And we hit a king. I'm not sure if I want to bet sometimes with this hand or just always check back. On table 1, defending the big blind against the small blind open with 7-2 suited and folding to this bet. With the king jack, I'll be calling the river. On table 1, opening ace king suited. On table 1, opening ace jack offsuit from the hijack. Table 1 opening the button with King 9 offsuit. I think against the 2.5x, this becomes pretty close. I'm not sure if I need to call that or not. I think folding can't be too bad. It's just borderline hand at best. On table 1, I'm going to open 2s here. We get heads up against the small blind. I think I want to be betting a lot. On table 2, I'm going to call blind versus blind with pocket 9s. So we face a donk on the turn. On table 1, I think I'm just folding it. And with the 9s, calling a c-bet. Going to check back. And now take my showdown value. On table 1, I defended big blind against and under the gun open with king queen. We flop an okay hand. 2 overs, backdoor straight draw, backdoor flush draw. But on the turn, not improving. We're just going to have to fold. On table 1, on this flop, I'm mostly going to be c-betting. I think probably always c-betting this hand. And against the raise, going to be calling. We face a pretty big bet on the turn, but I think my hand is just too strong to fold still. On the river, we just have a bluff catcher. It seems like an okay bluff catcher, but I don't know if I want to call this. I think I'm fine with just the fold. think the king's a pretty good card to have, but it's just not the greatest spot to be calling. On table 1, we open cutoff with king 7 suited, get called by the big blind. I want to be doing a lot of betting. Table 2, 8s in the small blind is pretty decent calling hand. And we face a squeeze from the big blind. I think I basically just have a break-even call to this. Wouldn't be too crazy to fold. And I'll be calling once on the flop. Again, my hand isn't really too great. And now folding the turn. On table 1, I'm going to be defending my big blind with 9-5 suited against the early position open. And flop goes check check, I turn a straight. I mostly want to be betting small on this turn. It's possible I do have hands that want to go big, and if I did, this would probably be in there, but I'm not sure if I ever bet big here. I face a raise. I think I should just try to get more money into the pot. It's pretty rare for him to check back the flop with the higher straight. I think 10-9. Yeah, 10-9. And even if he does have 10-9, I'm probably getting stacked anyways, whether I call or raise, so I just want to get the most value I can out of any type of draw that he can have, or maybe a set or something. On table 2, I opened, bet big on the flop, bet big on the turn, and I river a flush. I think betting big again makes sense. I can still get called by an ace. There's some ace queen, ace jack that beats me, but most of those hands will be 3-betting. On table 1, I'm going to be going for the cold 4-bet from big blind against button and small blind with ace queen and folding to the shove. And in the other hand, where I had the flush, I got called by ace 8. Table 2, opening pocket 6s from the hijack, and we get called by the big blind. I mostly want to be betting on this flop. And on the turn, I'll be checking. I think it's a little bit too strong to be bluffing. A little bit too weak to be value betting. On the river, I think same idea. We're just in the middle. We have showdown value. We run into pocket sevens. On table 1, we have 8-7 suited in the big blind. I'm going to be 3-betting this sometimes, calling sometimes. And on table 2, opening ace-10 suited from the hijack. Get called by the big blind. Going to c-bet small. So I'm going to be calling the 4-bet with 8-7 and calling the flop raise with ace-10. Both hands I'm not super happy about, but I think they're just... I just have to call both of them. So after the turn checks, I think I can bet this sometimes, but not very often. Most times I'll be checking back. I have king jack, king 10, jack 10, those type of hands to be betting with. And with the flush draw, I'll be calling. And I think the ace I can check again. It's becoming closer on the river, but I don't think I'm making much better hands fold, and I do have some showdown value. And now the flush draw, I don't have the odds to call on the turn, I think. On table 2, opening small blind with pocket 10s. And on table 1, opening button with king jack offsuit. I think 10s I can either 4-bet or I can call. So I call. The flop goes check check, and with this hand I'm probably trying to show it down. If I start betting, I'm going to get called by every king, every jack, and not too many worse hands. And I'll check the river as well. I think I have an okay call, especially against this size. I'm definitely calling. And I think the 10-7 bluff makes sense. It's sort of a weird hand to show up with there, but I think completely reasonable on every street. Just a small frequency 3-bet, and then flop, turn, and river, betting every street seems fine. Probably a mandatory bet on the river. On table 1, I opened hijack with 10-8 suited, got called by the big blind. I'm going to be doing some checking on this flop, and I have a pretty good hand to check. On table 2, opening cutoff with ace-2 suited. And with the 10, I'm going to be calling. On table 2, opening under the gun with Jack-9 suited. And the 10, I just have a showdown hand. On table 2, opening small blind with Jack-10 offsuit. We get 3-bet and going to be folding this. On table 1, button opens. Going to be defending the 10-3. It's pretty close. And on table 2, 3-betting 7s, hijack against under the gun. So with top pair, weak kicker, going to be always calling. Facing a pot-sized bet on the turn. On the 7, I think this is pretty close. The turn completed a lot of draws. And the big bet, I just have a bluff catcher. On table 1, opening the button with 9-8 suited. On table 2, hijack opens. I have ace-king suited in the big blind. Going to be 3-betting this every time. On table 1, opening the cutoff with Jack-10 offsuit. And on table 2, opening hijack with ace-3 suited. Before we end this video, let's see where I am on the leaderboard. Probably nowhere close to winning any money. We're in 43rd place. It's all random anyways, just whatever cards we get dealt pre-flop, I think. And here's a Good hand to beat out pre-flop. Pocket aces, opening the cutoff. Get called by the short stack in the big blind. And just going to go for half pot bet. We get raised. I think being 30 big blinds deep, I want to always be shoving this hand. If we were 100 big blinds deep, I could be calling it a bunch, but here we'll run into a queen a lot more often and get stacks from it every time. And thanks for watching, guys. See you next week.